My name is Molly, and I will be the host of your show today. I have the Homespun House shop where I make hand-dyed yarns, project bags, lots of really fun kits. I do some yarn clubs. Right now I have sign-ups for a Jane Austen yarn club and the second installment to our Harry Potter yarn club, which I am so excited about. I'm really excited about the Jane Austen club. I love Jane Austen, but I have the sweetest spot in my soul for Harry Potter. So I decided to go ahead and do a second installment of the club, just because I have had so much fun doing this first installment. Now I've already sent out January and February's. February's are so special. I hope you guys love them when you guys get them. But yeah, so signups for the Harry Potter Club, which will be sent out in April, May, and June. Those will close on Friday. So if you want to get a spot, better sign up. Speaking of Harry Potter, I finished my Half-Blood Prince socks. I loved, again, I have to weave in the ends. I really loved knitting these. This is on my Dale sock yarn. I've had questions about this again, about whether it's has any nylon in it or if it's a superwash, because I know a lot of people have questions about knitting non-superwash, non-nylon socks, which I talked a little about in the last podcast. And they definitely are not the most sturdy socks at all. I definitely would never claim that. They are comfy, cozy socks that can get holes because they are merino, but they will wear just fine. They're not ones that I would be wearing all the time, which is what I talked about in the last episode as well. It definitely would make so much more sense if you want to use a non-superwash, non-nylon, to use a Polworth or a 100% non-superwash BFL, something that is way just more of a sturdy yarn than a merino, which we all know is super soft and luxurious, and especially because this is a 19 micron count, my Dale base is, which is the same as a cashmere micron count. So they're really soft. I'm really happy to have them. I've already worn them once. I didn't want to wear them too much because I still wanted them to look pretty nice. So here these are. Like I said, the ends need to be woven in, and I have my sock blockers back. You can see that my setting is different now. I have my own office, which is fantastic. I was sharing my office with another room in our flat, and now we put one room as completely my office and Robert's office. So he just has a desk and his computer, but I have all of my work stuff in here, so it's amazing. Yeah, so I'm really happy to have these finished. Not because they weren't fun to knit, because I adored the blueberry waffle socks pattern. And I'm really excited because I feel like a lot of people, it has always been a popular pattern. It's a very easy, mindless knit. It's a free pattern. So you do the ribbing, knit 2, purl 2, and then you do 2 rows of knitting, and then 2 rows of knit 2, purl 2, and then you do 2 rows of knitting and 2 rows of knit 2, purl 2. And I didn't talk about this on the last podcast, and I didn't even realize it, but I was talking with Shauna of Adelaide Cottage, which if you guys haven't checked out, you definitely should. She makes beautiful project bags, dyes yarn, and she sells stitch markers and progress keepers as well, really fun sets. And yeah, she was asking me how I was doing the heel for the blueberry waffle socks. She was asking me a question about the pattern, and I then realized, oh my goodness, I honestly very rarely knit socks with the heeled pattern. But then again, if you will be a long viewer, you know that I don't generally either knit pattern socks. I generally knit, in the past anyway, a lot more of just a standard stockinette leg, I had been doing a heel flap for a very long time until the Fish Lips Kiss heel became super popular, and then I knit that all the time. And I don't know what changed. Something just, I started to knit these socks and I decided I really wanted to do something fun with the yarn. Now it's a speckled yarn, but it definitely looks a lot more kind of variegated rather than speckled. Speckled is variegated, of course, but it has a different effect than a variegated yarn. But when it's knit in this pattern, it looks a lot more variegated. Anyway, so I wanted to knit a pattern sock, and I don't even know why I decided to knit this. I know it's because Danny had talked about it and shown it, and I just fall in love with everything she knits. So Shauna asked me about the heel, and then I said, you know, I didn't even knit the heel. I don't even know what the heel is in the pattern. I just knit a normal standard heel flap. I do mine, knit one row, you know, slip one, and then knit across. And then on the other side, I slip one, purl one, slip one, purl one, slip one, purl one. I used to always slip one, knit one, and then purl the entire side until someone asked me, what do you do faster, knit or purl? And I said, knit. And they said, why don't you slip one, knit one for your heel? And then I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I did, and I do that now. Anyway, so with this sock, I just decided to go ahead and try a heel flap. And I did, and I loved it, and I learned a new technique from making absolutely no holes. And I know Shauna talked about in her podcast as well, how one side had a hole and one side didn't. And I always had the same exact problem. One side was always perfect, and then the other side always had that hole. I would love to say that I could make a tutorial on how I do my heels. I feel like in the past I have said so many times, and I feel terrible for it, that I would like to make a tutorial on this or like to make a tutorial on that. But for me, it is so hard to find the time to film a tutorial. During my day, I am so busy working, and I'm still breastfeeding Ruby, so I'm breastfeeding her as well, and then taking care of some other things. Robert is a stay-at-home father. He is an actor, but he doesn't have a job all the time. He does a lot of commercials. He does a lot of kind of freelance, small-time acting things. Like right now, he has something going on where each Sunday he is gone doing acting. Sometimes it's a Saturday too. This weekend, for example, he'll be gone Friday and Saturday. Not in the evening. He won't sleep somewhere. He'll come back in the evening. But he's definitely quite able to be home with Ruby, which works so nicely for my work. One thing though, my shop will be very, very sparse in March and April because Robert will be working full-time then. So if you want to get something, you should get it now because it won't be full again unless you're a member of the club, you know, then of course you'll be getting something each month. But it won't be full again until April. So yes, that was a total tangent. I don't even know how I got there, but I love these. This is the heel I knit. Now I am knitting a new pair of socks. Let me show those to you. And this is really exciting. As is all knitting, right? So, oh, that's not my sock bag. I'm always keeping my socks in this project bag, which, as you all know, I love. It is by Alex Collins. And I don't know, I just feel so at nature when I have this bag. That sounds so stupid, but that's the way I feel. I have my little tape measure from Andy of Andre Sue Knits in here. And after all of this talk about stitch count and gauge and all of this madness about socks, I decided to try, so I'm normally knitting my socks on a 2.5 millimeter needle with 56 stitches. And as I've mentioned, it's the same thing my grandma does. It's the same thing that she has always knit her socks on. And if you ask my grandma, she will tell you, this is when I'm totally going to admit that I'm wrong, probably, maybe. She will tell you that she is a very normal knitter, which is what I've always said. You know, I don't have a loose gauge, I don't have a tight gauge, but if I look at her socks, I always feel like her gauge is very loose. And every time that I take a knitting project from her and start to knit with it, I feel the same way, like, oh my goodness, her gauge is so loose. And if I'm a loose knitter, then she must be a very loose knitter. Because her socks with 56 stitches on size 2.5 millimeter needles seem big. Not airy, but now mine aren't airy. I would not say they're airy. I hope that this will zoom in on the way the stitches look. They're stretched out as well, but that's how it would be on the foot. And I've never had a problem with these. I've always liked the way my socks look, liked the way they wear. I definitely get holes in my socks from time to time. But I thought, you know what? I love the way finer knits look. I really like a small gauge. I like small stitches. I'm going to try a 64 stitch sock, which is what I normally knit for Robert on 2.5s. I'm going to try a 64 stitch sock on my Carbon 60 centimeter 2 millimeter needles. So these are the needles that I've used to knit my Bird of Happiness. I have never knit a pair of socks on 2 millimeter needles unless it's been baby socks. And it was Valentine's Day, and I was talking with Danny of the Little Bobbins podcast, and I said, what do you think about casting on some Valentine socks? Because I finished mine, and I have another pair of socks on the needles, but it's a heel that I've knit with a hole in the heel, and I don't even know if I want to revisit it or if I want to pull it out. So that one's kind of in timeout for a little while. So I wanted to cast on a pair of new socks. And I was looking through all of my yarn, and I am like probably a pretty big hoarder of Wool and Vine yarns because I love her yarn. And this is her blitzed base in her Pandora colorway. So I know I've talked about it before, but I love her blitzed base. I cannot for the life of me find any sort of Stellina yarn that's like this in Europe. I cannot find anything like this. So I did a knit one, purl one ribbing on here, which is so strange for me. Again, I normally omit what the pattern says and just do knit 2, purl 2 all the time, always. And I don't know. I'm doing the Hermione's Everyday Socks, by the way. So another pattern sock, something completely different for me, but I feel like I want to knit all the pattern socks all the time now. And these are knitting up so pretty, and they're so much fun to knit. It's another free pattern. And I love it. I feel like I'm just, something about me right now just has Harry Potter on the brain. I just want to do everything Harry Potter, which is so exciting because Miss Labelli has, Katie has a Harry Potter knit along starting in March, and I cannot wait to join. I have no idea what I'm going to knit. Maybe even another pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks. I don't know, but something, and I'm definitely hopping on board with that. So I feel like I keep going off on a tangent. Anyway, I'm knitting the Hermione's Everyday Socks. I decided to do a knit 1, purl 1 rib as per the pattern says. I almost went off on another tangent. And it was so terrible. So I have this on Magic Loop, which I don't do that often. I quite often knit on double pointed needles. They're definitely my favorite. They're definitely my favorite way to knit. Maybe I can knit up a little bit higher and you guys can watch me knit. I don't know if I've ever done that on the podcast, but it's really fun watching people knit, I feel like. I'm not going to try to knit fast. I'm just going to knit at normal speed. It was really funny. I was sitting on the, I don't know if you can see. I was sitting on the couch last night and Robert was sitting next to me staring at me, and he was waiting for me to, I don't think you'll be able to see this. But he was just staring at me, and he was waiting for me to, this is what he told me later, to start one of my new needles, you know, like start a new side of the magic loop. And I guess he was timing me how many stitches I was knitting per minute. And it ended up being, I think, like 68 at normal speed, obviously. So that was interesting. Not super fast, but in good time. I was knitting on a hat for him, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. But anyway, so I was knitting on these socks. I cast them on. I put them on the magic loop. And I would knit from the first needle, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. And then I would knit from the second needle, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. I didn't realize this until I was 2 or 3 rows in, I think. The first time I actually ripped back each stitch, so I didn't frog it or anything, I just would rip back each stitch and fix it. And then I started to knit again. I did the same exact thing the second time. And then I frogged the entire thing and was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Why do I keep doing this? And then the third time was a charm. It was perfect. But I could not get this in my mind of knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. I was just so stuck on this knit 2, purl 2. It was ridiculous. So those are the Hermione's Everyday Socks. I guess I should show you them a little bit better. I'm having so much fun knitting on them. I love the way the 64 stitches is knitting up. I can definitely see doing this for all of my socks now. I think this is a size US 0. And I just love it. I love how fine the stitches are. I think that they are so beautiful. I had these with me at the dentist, and it was so funny. The hygienist asked me if these were for a child. And then she said, you think that will fit your leg? You definitely will need some bunchen at the top or something, right? But I think that she didn't realize that, you know, it stretches. So, yes. I love it. The Pandora has shades of pink and peachy tones, blacks, naturals, some little teeny specks of like a mustard yellow. It's really pretty, and I love, love, love the gold glitter in there. Really fun to work with. These would be a lot farther along because I cast them on Valentine's Day. We didn't do anything for Valentine's Day. Robert wasn't even home, so. And I think Valentine's Day, for all of those of you who celebrate it, that's wonderful, awesome. If it's a very special day to you, then, you know, why not? It's special. But for us, Robert is definitely more of a person who he likes more spontaneous special things. He celebrates special days, you know, like Christmas, or we celebrate Easter, things like that. But as far as togetherness and just stuff like that, he likes really sporadic surprises, kind of like a random day, decide to, you know, go and do something special together, or even making fun things, you know, surprising with fun things. Time, especially. And that's okay. I definitely have learned to really love that. And I'm totally the same way. I like that as well. So the hat that I have been knitting on is in my Mirth colorway. Robert told me that he wanted a new hat. He has a sockhead hat that's knit out of some Regia tweed. It's red. And it's slouchy, and he really, really likes it. But he really wants kind of a more fitted hat with a big, thick rim. So he chose some of my Mirth yarn. This is my favorite colorway that's in the shop right now. So this is Mirth, and this is on the Olsen base, which is the same base that I knit his in. I also have it in Bakken. This is Mirth Olsen is BFL, and Bakken is a cashmere base. And this just has such pretty tones to it. It's a really bright pink colorway with browns and really deep browns and almost tans, purples, pinks, deep reds, burgundies. Some little spots there are tealy blues. I love this colorway. It's a really fun one to dye too. So of all of my yarn, he chose that one. There's completely a pink theme going on this week, you will notice. So I have the ribbing done. I'm doing this on, Robert and I both have quite small heads. Well, I'm a small person. Robert is huge and tall, but he's not like, doesn't have a lot of fat on him. So he has quite a small head. So this is 2mm needles, and I have 112 stitches for the ribbing, and up here is 120, so I increased every 14 stitches, I believe. And yeah, I have my Deathly Hallows charm on here. This was sent out with my first installment. I wish I had a skein around to show you. The first installment for the Harry Potter Club was called Xenophilius Explains the Deathly Hallows. And it was sent out with this stitch marker. And the second installment has already been sent out, and I don't want to show it because I know a lot of people haven't received it yet. It was sent out on Monday, so I'm so excited for you guys to see that one. It's wonderful. So this is not Harry Potter yarn. Like I said, this is Mirth, and this is the way that it's knitting up. He will fold the ribbing up like that, and I am loving knitting on this. I love when I get to one of those tealy greens, and I love getting to the burgundy deep red color. It's just a really fun knit, and I really like the way the Olsen base knits up in a hat. I have knitted in a pair of socks on our Home for the Holidays colorway, which is just a one striper, green and red, and I think it knits up into a sock head really nicely. It's definitely a finer fingering weight yarn, but I like it. It's really nice. I'm curious how it will be washed after it's been knit, so it's a lot of fun. He likes it. This is kind of the main one that I have been spending a bit of time knitting because it's not going to be really cold here for a lot longer, maybe 2 months or so, so I want him to get the most wear out of it this season that he can. So yeah, I will work on that a lot this evening, probably. And if I have any spare moments today, I don't really get a lot of knitting done during the day. I have been having a really hard time balancing knitting or getting any knitting done, really, because I work a lot. And in the evenings it's just been kind of hard, you know. Sometimes Robert and I have been playing checkers a lot lately, or chess, or we've been playing Skippo. Acey-deucey we love. So you can't knit when you play that. I mean, you can kind of knit in between turns, but a turn is so fast. So yeah, I think I'll have a bit of this yarn left. That's the cake. So it's gotten a little bit demolished inside of my bag, but I have this inside of my Knit and Stitch Bits bag. I love this bag. This fabric is so soft. I'm quite sure it's an organic cotton. But I love it! It reminds me of spring here in Berlin and Elodie outside hunting for snails. There's a little story that I tell Elodie before she goes to bed. I'm always making up stories for her. When I was little, I was really into storytelling, and I actually was in some competitive storytelling competitions. But there's a story that I tell her about a little girl who, you know, is outside playing, and she ends up finding a snail in the winter. And he's a magical snail, that's why he's outside when it's so cold. And he ends up, you know, touching her with his little ear. And he makes her small, and she visits him and goes on little adventures with him and his wife, and his wife is always cooking this delicious warm soup that makes her belly so warm, and yeah, she loves these snail stories. So all of these, it's so funny how just a little bag and a little fabric, you can look at it and it's just reminding you of those things. You know, if Elodie's sleeping at night and I'm knitting on this hat for Robert and I look over at this bag, I maybe have a little image of that story that I told her, or, you know, of just cuddling in bed telling her a story, or even being outside and snail hunting. Not snail hunting, you know, she doesn't like kill the snails or anything. So the next thing that I've been working on, I've started knitting some cotton dishcloths again. I was quite into knitting these last year because my mom really liked them and she wanted to have a nice little collection of them. And just lately, I've started using the ones that I have. I just have two. I have one that I've knit. I have one that my mom knit. And now I'm knitting another one. So this is just super simple. I forgot to say, I'm knitting these on my Knit Pro Zings. And the small Knit Pro Zings, like the 2mm, I feel like because they're so blunt, it's not like it's hard picking up stitches at all, which I don't know why it would be because they're so teeny. But I feel like the small ones can kind of hurt a little bit. They're not like sanded off that well. You know, it's kind of like a rough edge. I don't notice it anymore, but when I first started knitting with them, it was a little bit uncomfortable. But I like them now. Now I don't have any problem at all. So I just wanted to note that. I do love the Zings. I do really like them. I'm knitting with them here. And it is really nice because the tip is just painted on. I know Shauna of Adelaide Cottage, I'm talking about her again, talked about wanting to try Addie's because she would like to try something where there is no join. The Zings don't have a join. It is just dipped, it looks like, in paint. Not paint, but you know what I mean. It's dipped in the color. And this is actually not a join. It's just a color change. So that's really nice. I've never been bothered by the Zings join though. I've never even paid much thought to it. But let's get this in here. Yeah, so I'm knitting on a dishcloth. This is just a random pattern that I made up. I knit 3, maybe 4 rows first. I think I cast on 45 stitches. 45 stitches, and I knit 4 rows, and then I knit 2. I'm always doing a garter stitch ridge here. I've knit 2, and then I purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 until the end, and then I knit 2. And yeah, I'll do that until it's long enough. So I want to keep a little stack of these next to the sink in the bathroom because they're pretty, and the cotton just, it really soaks up a lot of water and it dries off your hands really nicely. So I'm not using these for washing your face or body or anything like that. It's kind of more just to dry off the hands. I don't know how many more of these I will make. They're quite a quick project. I mean, it's a square. It is on size 4mm needles. And yeah, I think I'm about almost halfway done. It definitely needs a little bit more. I would say I'm almost halfway done with it. And of course it's pink again. So I'm having fun with that. I really, really like that stitch pattern, the moss stitch or seed stitch. It's an easy one to do. I really like the texture. It's not overly holey, and I don't know, I just really prefer the way that that looks for a washcloth. So maybe I'll go ahead and do all of them like that. If I do all of them, who knows, maybe I'll just knit one and there won't be any more progress on that. So the next thing that I'm knitting is also pink. And this is in my Homespun House bag. And it is my Hermes sweater. So I ripped out my entire first Kermes sweater that I knit, the oversized one. This was going to be a cardigan, just like the pattern is, and it's kind of knotted here, so I didn't get to finish ripping it out. I can't really get it out any farther, and I thought I'll just keep it, put it in my project bag in case I need that color of yarn and run out of it. I honestly thought about just throwing it away at first, which I know probably breaks some of your hearts, but I didn't want to deal with it. So the Kermes cardigan is knit by Anna Muds, and she is a Dutch designer. And this is a pattern put out by Infinite Twist, and they do kits with their patterns that they do. And I really, really love the way that this cardigan looks. But I wanted to change it into a sweater because I wear sweaters all the time with a skirt or a dress underneath. And I wear quite a cropped sweater. So I thought, you know, why not? This sweater would look really cool cropped and made into a sweater. It's Fair Isle, you know, super easy. Fair Isle just means 2 colors in each round of knitting and no more than 2. Just 2 colors per row. So I took that whole thing off and then I cast on for my sweater. Oops, that's inside out. So this is how much I have done. I'm knitting these on my interchangeable Royale set. I really, really like these needles. I love the way that they feel. I notice that they warm in my hands very quickly, and that's something that I love because I have really cold hands often. And the one thing that I don't like about them, and I think is so strange, and I'm not quite sure why it is, but they have this hole at the tip of the needle. And I hope you can see that. And often when I am knitting, just so randomly, my needle will get caught in there, and it really ruins the smoothness of knitting and can be extremely frustrating, in all honesty. So I haven't looked at the other sizes in the interchangeable set, but these ones obviously definitely have that tip, and I've kind of tried to make it that the tip is faced in a different direction so that it doesn't get in my way. But still, like, I feel like that's really strange to have a hole in the tip of your needle where your needle would be stabbing. So, yeah, just knitting around on here. I haven't decided. I've kind of been looking at it, and this is a kit that I think I've had for a year now, maybe, almost a year. And I can't decide if this pink is too bright for me in this sweater. I wear a lot of black, and I personally do not like at all the way that kind of this sort of a pink looks with black. I think with other shades, gray and those sorts of colors, it looks nice, but with black, I don't know. So I'm thinking about ripping this row out, and because I'm knitting the extra small, I think that I will probably have enough yarn to just do the red and this salmon red. I maybe even would have enough just to do the red, which is definitely a possibility. I'll have to look at my yardage on that, but now that I'm saying it out loud, that sounds like maybe what I would like to do. And then I will definitely do the Fair Isle on top, for sure. Yeah, so that's an idea. Now I'm thinking about it. I could even knit the ribbing at the bottom and then the cuffs in the salmon red, which might look nice, and then the main body in the deeper red, which would then mean I'd have to rip the entire thing out again, which would be so frustrating. I just want to knit a sweater. I know Hannah Fettig of Knitbot, she has a sweater that I have had in my library for quite a while. One of you, lovely viewers, gifted it to me. And I've been needing to knit it. It's a fingering weight sweater, and it has kind of zigzags of Fair Isle all around the top. And I do have fingering weight quantities of yarn. I have a Lene yarn in her lint liquor. I have Woolen Vine yarns in Myth colorway, which is blue. Lint liquor is gray with red splotches in it. It's really, really pretty. Yeah, so we'll have to see what I do about that. I would love to knit it. I feel like I really like Fair Isle and I really like color work. This is a Fair Isle sweater. So I feel like it would be one that I would get a lot of wear out of. And the pink has just been, I love pink. Pink is my favorite color. But I just feel like that shade of pink, while it's gorgeous, I definitely would use it to knit a lot of things. I just feel like in a sweater or pullover cardigan for me, it maybe isn't the most wearable piece. So I don't know, maybe I'll rip it out. I have my super sweet pine tree stitch marker in there, which I love. I really love that. The little things that make us happy, right? So that's what I've been knitting on. I feel like I have gotten a lot of really good, fun, different knits in. I hope that I can finish Robert's hat by next week. And I would love to podcast next week because it definitely seems like I have been... sorry, I'm looking for a thread of ours. But it definitely seems like I have been podcasting bi-weekly, and I definitely want to start doing it every week. That would be really nice. I realize that it's the middle of February, and I have not chosen our Yuletide Joy Holiday Ornament knit-along winner. So I'm choosing a winner right now as we speak. Okay. Alright, so the winner is Joe Hizzle. So Joe Hizzle, let me show what you look like. Joanna Eriksson from Sweden. This is Joe Hizzle. You win this wonderful set of minis, skeins, from Infinite Twist. And this is on her 100% wool Felix colorway. So this is 15 grams, so 75 grams of mini skeins, or of yarn. Really, really pretty. I feel like this would be gorgeous if you're into weaving. Would be really, really nice to make something beautiful with that. So, Joe, please send me your address and I'll get those out to you as soon as possible, along with some other fun goodies. You guys can see my loom there. I want to start weaving so badly. I mentioned setting up some weaving kits for the shop, and that is something that I'm going to do because summer is rolling around and weaving is the perfect thing for summer, I think. It's not hot, it's not sweaty, it's so much fun. So that's definitely something that I will open up. I'm going to open up some pre-orders for them. There will be some different colors of yarns and fibers that you can get with your kit. So yeah, there will be pre-orders open for that on Friday. So look forward to that. Alright, I'm going to show you some yarn that I have in the shop. I have a couple of new colorways. I have Chakura, which is this beautiful blue, red, brown colorway. I do have the Mirth, which I already showed. Oops. I have a new colorway. I've had a lot of people have a request for orange. Now I know that orange isn't the most popular color, and orange I would say is one of my least favorite colors. But I did a take on orange that I really, really like. So this is a really, really fun speckled orange, and this is called Spark. I also have this beautiful colorway. It's purples and teals, deep greens, turquoise, moss green, browns. It's just a really pretty color, and this is Aspen. I have this on my Dale base. I love this one. This one's called Finch. I have Postbox on Dale as well as Olson. And then I have Where Did You Sleep Last Night? On Olson. It's a really fun one. And then I have In Bloom. There's a bit more in the shop as well. You can have a look. And yeah, so now it's time for me to get to work. I have a bunch of yarn that's soaking and it's ready for me to dye it. And then I have a bunch of fun kits that I'm putting together. I hope that I can have them in the shop on Friday as well, if not on Monday. And yeah, it's been really, really lovely talking with you. I wanted to answer some now is the time to ask questions, but I think I'll go ahead and do that next time, just because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that time can be really precious and we don't have tons of it. So I hope that you guys have a really fantastic week. It was so nice to be able to chat with you guys again and share my knitting. I hope that next time I have some weaving to show you guys. I have had cross stitch on the brain, embroidery on the brain, but those are things that really come into play for me in summer, I feel like. I do have an embroidery and a weaving project that I really want to do as a gift for someone. So I'm sure you will be seeing that soon. As soon as I pop this camera off, I'm going to pour myself a fresh warm glass of coffee, indulge in this amazing Lindt, just plain milk chocolate, and I am going to start dyeing some yarn. I crazy look forward to it. I hope that you guys are looking forward to the rest of your day. See you later.